Hello, and welcome to the Entering Dog Kennels portion of the training videos. This video will help give you tips and tricks on how to open dog kennels, entering and exiting kennels, ideally without the dog escaping, and why the dog kennel should be locked at all times. Let's get started. As mentioned in the previous training videos, we have 5 dog rooms on the adoption floor. Dog Room E was built first in the 90s, and since then we added on 4 new rooms, Dog Rooms A through D. That being said, when we added the new rooms, we updated the kennels and the latches we use, resulting in us having 2 different types of latches on the dog floor. Let's take a closer look at each. These are the latches in dog rooms DE and dog rooms A through D. In DE, you have to remove the master lock and flip the stopper up to open the kennel door. In dog rooms A through D, you have to remove the master lock and push the stopper up to open the kennel doors. In a moment, we will show you how each kennel door opens. Before we get into opening the kennel doors, we need to unlock the master lock on all the doors. Now, where do we find the keys? When you grab your volunteer badge, there should be a key attached to the lanyard. This key can be used to lock every kennel on the adoption floor, even the cat kennels. If your badge does not have a key, please let the volunteer coordinator know so they can replace it. We have master locks in all the kennels for everyone's safety, as some dogs don't like other dogs or are uncomfortable with new people. Only staff members and trained volunteers have access to these keys. This keeps the general public from being able to open the kennels on their own, as well as keeping everyone safe. Unless you've completed matchmaker trainings, only staff members can let visitors into the kennels if they are interested in meeting a dog. If an adopter is interested in a dog, please find a staff member to help answer their questions. Now, let's start with the latches in Dog Room E. Start by taking off the master lock using the keys on your badge. You can hang the lock on the side of the kennel until you're done interacting with the dog. To open the latch, push the stopper in towards the kennel with your thumb and use your index finger to lift the latch out and pull the kennel door towards you. When closing the door, it should automatically lock behind you. Please note that if the door is shut quickly, it may not latch behind you, so always be sure to check the latches in properly. To exit the kennel, do the exact same thing from the inside. Always remember to put the master lock back on the kennel when you exit. Place the lock through the hole in the center of the stopper, attaching it to the sidebar so it cannot move. Just as a heads up, when entering and exiting kennels in DE, please be mindful of the bark running across the bottom of all the kennel doors. It can be a hazard when backing out of a kennel while trying to prevent a dog from escaping. We just went over the kennels in DE, but what about the kennels in DA and DD? The kennels in dog rooms A through D are double-sided, with a guillotine door in between them. One side is the living room with their bed, food, and water. The other side can be used as their potty side if needed, so it's not in their eating/sleeping space, just in case if they have to go to a bathroom in an emergency. The second side can also be used as a visiting space. If an adopter comes in and they want to meet with a dog, we can shut off the guillotine door with the dog on the living room side, let the adopter go into the empty side, and then we let the dog over to them when we open the guillotine door and give them a chance to interact with the dog and play with them. Volunteers can also use this door for themselves to get into a kennel when trying to take a dog out for a walk. Another reason we love our double-sided kennels is being able to enter on either side. It can make it easier for volunteers and staff to get into the kennels to walk the dogs or clean the kennels without stressing them out. We can also close the guillotine door in the middle if the center is very full on dogs, and we need more space for new incoming dogs. We would then set up new beds, food, and water bowls on the second side. Though we prefer each dog to have a double-sided kennel, we make the best of what we have and do our best to get our dogs out of the kennel as often as we can. Now let's focus on getting into the kennels in these rooms. Similar to the videos in DE, you need to use the keys on the back of your badge to remove the master lock from the kennel. You can also set it aside on the kennel in these rooms as well. To open the latch, simply push the hanging piece of metal in the middle of the bracket. When the door shuts behind you, the hanging piece should slide back into place. To leave the kennel, repeat the same steps from within the kennel. Always make sure to lock the kennel behind you by placing the lock through the hole in the bottom of the bracket. Just like in DE, dog rooms A and D have their own tripping hazards, so please be mindful of the food and water bowls attached to the kennel door when entering and exiting the kennel. Now, let's go over some tips and tricks to get into a dog kennel easier. The first tip is to distract the dog by tossing treats into the other side of the kennel to quickly get in. In this video, you can see Maverick wasn't totally distracted by the treats, but it was just enough time to get the volunteer time to get into the kennel unobstructed. The second tip is to use your body to block the dog from escaping. Only open the door wide enough to squeeze in and use your legs and hips to block. Another pro tip is if you can get your hand under the dog's chin, cupping their neck in your palm, you can much more easily hold them back as you enter, just like this volunteer did in this video with Porco. Now we got in the kennel, but how do we get out of the kennel without the dog escaping? The first tip, just like how we got in, we can use treats to distract them to get out. Just toss treats to the opposite side of the kennel and use that time to exit. The second tip is to also use your body to block them from getting out. Please be sure to give them a treat after you leave, so this shows them that people leaving isn't always a bad thing. They always get something tasty when they leave. The third tip is to ask for help. A kennel attendant or another volunteer can help you by calling the dog to the other side of the kennel and closing the guillotine door if applicable. Please never be afraid to ask for help if you have trouble getting out on your own. To quickly go over the guillotine door, simply unhook the hook and guide the door down. Never let it go and let the door slam to the ground. This is detrimental for the dogs in our care. It can scare them and it could possibly hurt them, and we don't want that. To open it, just grab the hook, pull it down until you achieve your desired opening, and then secure it against one of the kennel bars. Of course, things aren't always going to go as smoothly as planned, but that's okay. Let's take a peek at this next video to see what happens when things don't go as smoothly. In this video, you can see some dogs simply don't want to get out, and they will just throw their body weight around to try to get out, no matter what you try. Due to this volunteer's quick thinking, Comet didn't end up escaping, and right at the end, she had her arm underneath his stomach and she lifted him back up with his back legs and walked him back in, kind of in a wheelbarrow style, to get him back into his kennel. So please don't feel bad. Things don't always go as easily. Some dogs just really want to get outside and have a fun time. So don't panic. Just do the best you can. And if you always need help, never be afraid to ask. Awesome! You made it to the end of the training video. That's all the info you need about entering and exiting dog kennels. Please go to the final training video to see how we put everything together.